Great job. Orcs just misidentified which champion was the right one, and that's totally fine. We're going to dive into the draft here as Quantum Freaks back on the blue side once again, much like in game number 1. And this time, they're going to ban the same champions. It's going to be Ashe, Lilia, and Kalista, and we'll see what T1 are going to do as far as changing up what their bans are going to look like.
I don't like a high Oner priority. I think we have to let the one go. It just hasn't looked good for T1. As the Rumble is going to get taken away. I imagine Kwangdong are still very much looking to just high prio. The Aurora, the glimpses of hope in the previous game, still through that, and oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. There's the respect being paid to Oner. Oner can, of course, obviously still go towards the Lilia if it does end up making it through. But it does mean that the AD mids are more likely. And I gotta say, that Azir game is one of the better games we've seen Faker play in I'd say a couple of weeks. I think obviously wasn't the main character, but was a very clean game with him having a lot of impact compared to the Yone of game 1, right? It's going to be the Cassante instead.
Huh.
Wow, we are really throwing things. It's better than the Yone ban, so I'll take that.
I mean, the Tristana is now up and available, though. That's the dangerous thing. And it's something that I imagine the Quantum Freaks aren't too worried about first picking, because I imagine that they'll probably still be able to get it. Aurora is an opportunity, but they could just lock away the Nidalee if they would like to.
Oh.
I think this is pretty smart. You can then go Nidalee, and then if they don't pick Renekton Tristana, you can take Renekton Tristana on 2-3, which I feel would be quite powerful.
That's not bad.
Especially if you can then put a Ziggs in the bottom lane. But that might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Aurora is able to be picked away, but will it actually be able to win out? I do want to see the Buster Shot interactions if the Tristana is indeed picked up. Oner, considering his Lilia here, will be a lot of magic damage here for T1 if they do lock this one away. This would be less, and a lot of skirmishing power if the Viego does come in. Definitely a possibility.
Kind of depends, because if it's Bulldog that ends up playing it, you can just have the Aurora bounce around like a
pinball. Like actually just pinball the Aurora all the way around her little circle thing. That would be very, very funny. I want to see them do it. I want to see them just do Trist and Renekton and just call it a day.
Yeah, if the Aurora wasn't picked up, I'm pretty sure they would have just gone Aurora in Italy, Renekton.
Oh yeah.
And they would have been very happy with that. But given that that is not the case, I do expect Bulldog to go back. To remind everyone, he was the guy that started picking Tristana very early on. And in general, Bulldog, for all of his weaknesses, because I do think he is a very binary player, in like some performances he looks amazing, sometimes he looks rough, but his willingness to play new picks has been something that, even though it looks silly initially, has often been, and his team has often been correct in identifying things that end up being absolutely huge. It's going to be Leaper with the Ezreal. Love this. I again want to reiterate, Ezreal is one of the few AD carries that has a surefire way to get out of Aurora's ultimate, meaning that it is a lot harder for her to reliably lock you down. This would give away what the setup is going to be.
This wouldn't.
That does not, no.
That would be interesting. Yone, a consideration once again, much like in game number 1.
I like that a lot
Azir
more.
will be the pivot. I like that. I agree with you a whole lot more.
It's not even because of the matchup, because I think one of the reasons why we started seeing Tristana in the first place, like way back, was because you could play it into Azir and you could buffer the ult and become a scaling menace. Now, obviously, the early laning phase has been substantially hit, but that late game and mid game or side lane threat that Tristana is 100% still viable. Renekton ban, absolute no-brainer on that one. The Varus, Guma gets to play it one game after it's not been meta and immediately gets it taken away. I imagine the Senna ban is next to deny Keria the opportunity to play a really high resource carry. And let's be honest, Guma, his Senna is notorious.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
And you can create a lot of safety with the Aurora as well. So it sort of does double duty, keeping people out and keeping people in. Gonna see what the final ban is here for the Quantum Freaks. They're taking some time. I think that the Senna could be a decent idea, and there it goes. So now, T1, what are we going to be locking away? I imagine an AD carry. Allow Keria to have the counter pick option.
So there are two angles that you can go as a result to what most likely will be NMF. Here for Kwangdong, do you go for the Karma and just try to bully the lane as hard as possible and win from there? as this was banned last game. Obviously one of Gumayusi's favorite picks.
Oh yeah, that would be a lot of power. There it is.
So this also creates a scenario where if you don't pick Karma and you end up playing into Caitlyn Karma, you're very sad. But if you pick the Karma and you end up playing into Caitlyn Lux and you make one mistake, you're also very sad.
Sounds like a lot of sad, Chronicler.
Oh, gonna have to see how they play it out. But the downside, obviously, of that is if you end up, I was about to say, so if you end up going for Karma or Lux, or not Lux, but if you end up going for Karma, which is most likely, you have 0 engage, and you do need it. So this feels like kind of a always bad scenario for Kwangdong, where you're basically just going to sack the lane in the hope that the pressure that Leaper is going to have is going to be enough. That said, if Keria ends up going for... Because it could also just be Braum, right? Like, that's still up. We've seen Caitlyn Braum.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on what you want to do, because if you do end up going for something like... I was about to say the lack of engage. I do think Bard can struggle because there is a lot of mobile champions on the enemy team. As it will
going to be Braum.
End up being the Braum, which into the Nautilus obviously feels amazing. Does not solve your engage issue. But you have Aurora, so really, do you need engage when your opponents are all locked into a circle? I think not.
Yeah, you could also just get Faker on a flank angle. He could also maybe just find some sort of wall to set up and then throw everyone into a fight. That might be the way to do it.
It is hard into the as Tristana, though, to find that consistently.
I would agree. I do think that T1 are a little bit lacking when it comes to a little bit of those starting the fight options. I think Kwangdong Freak's plenty of ability to sit around and just poke you as well. So T1 kind of needing a bit of engage for this particular game. They do have a door that they can put up to try and stop some of the harass, but otherwise it could be a little bit dangerous. As I do like a little bit of the Dudu support here. I think that he had a rough one on the Cassante, but his Renekton was real good. We'll see what his Nara is going to look like in today's game. Something that he has played a heck of a lot in the past. Yurin Park. She is a famous Korean artist here supporting T1. Does have her custom jersey as well, which is super cool. And she's hiding behind it.
Oh, this one-match Atlas might end up deciding the playoffs' fate.
It could.
Of some of our teams. Can't wait to see what's going to happen here. This is going to be another volatile one. I imagine some level 1 shenanigans maybe with that Braum.
Ooh, true. And especially with Caitlyn as well. You can sort of just rain down hell. A possibility. T1 now with Zeus taking the Aurora towards the top side of the map as well. It is Viego for Oner. He could definitely carry on that. A lot of things here. Let's jump to the rift for Game 3. All right, T1 fans in full voice here, but the Kwangdong fans always louder than expected. And we are here in the deciding game. This could help Kwangdong Freaks' playoff chances immensely. Their only matchup after this is against DRX. They struggled to do too much of anything in their matchup against KT earlier on today. Should be a freebie for them in theory. And that would put them in phenomenal standing as far as getting towards the playoffs themselves. T1, they just want to win here and then secure their spot, not have to worry anymore. They will have to face BNK later in the week. And if they can do that with no worries, then that's going to feel way better than if they're doing it for their playoff hopes and dreams. You know?
Ooh, Andil gonna get a ward. This is also gonna give away the situation at hand, which is that we are swapping lanes.
Yeah. Faker is now gonna get jumped on here as Bulldog on his favorite champion. He's also dragon training as well. I really like it. It's my favorite Tristana skin. So he's going to be able to use that dragon to try and clear out these minions as they're hopping around the lane. And it is just top and mid laners hanging out in the same lane. Kind of weird. 8-0 here for Bulldog. That is definitely the big one. The 0-3 on the Nautilus. It's either a win for the Nautilus or the first loss for the Tristana in this game. Is Keria just being frustrating here, trying to annoy Cuz. Going to successfully do that. Andal doing exactly the same thing on the other side. And he's going to get Conqueror, and Andal is not going to have his Aftershock anymore. The Ignite goes down, and Andal is finally going to be able to do what he wanted, which was just clearing out a ward. As that's a reset success here for Keria. Really nicely done. Zeus is moving in. Cuz going to have to give up on his red buff. That's the power of level 1 Braum.
Really is. Faker also making sure that Bulldog can't leave the lane. He's getting pushed in now, but as long as Bulldog stays, there's already an opportunity. Zeus making his impact shown, and now we will have the 3v3 towards the top half of the map. So this is going to be the possible triple buff here for Oner, thanks to the spirited defense of Keria and Zeus. Cuz not able to take his own bot side camp, and yeah, Oner did take a bit of a beating, but that wasn't enough to dissuade him. And most crucially, he had already picked up the buff as, that is...
Yeah, his Caitlyn's been pretty good for quite some time. In fact, their Caitlyn Lux has been... I don't know whether it's lost, and if it has, then it's only a very few amount of times for the amount of times that they've played it. This
literally could only be once.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Caitlyn Braum, not quite as powerful. Keria's Braum has been divisive in the past.
Divisive indeed, Atlas.
Yeah, to say the least. As Andal and Leaper are going to be moving up. They do have a minion wave here, but with Zeus still in the area, it's going to be hard for them to make it towards this turret as they do clear out the wave. Oner is moving down as well, 4 versus 2. Nidalee nowhere in sight.
So crucially, they are denying experience and money to the duo lane here, but they're also giving up a good amount of experience towards the top side. The thing is though, again, they are getting plate damage down.
Oh, that's the flash over from Oner, but doesn't find the stun. And Leaper just going to give them the old death thumbs up and move his way over towards this turret.
So
finds also a bit of extra damage.
Zeus is going to have to TP. Will end up making it, obviously no opportunity to cancel there for Andal unless he just walks in and blindly hooks, which most likely would have been into his death. Does mean that there is a TP advantage here for Dudu. So actually, when it comes to CS, looks like it didn't end up going too poorly here for Leaper and Andal. Experience seems relatively even, and an advantage for Dudu. The big thing is that obviously T1 was able to pick up more plates, but considering this Kwangdong that set up the lane swap, I think they're going to be decently happy with that, because again, you kind of take that as a given when you swap away from your bot lane.
True. And so with the fact that the gold is completely even, you're going to say that Quantum Freak's got what they wanted. Now, can they get everything else? Because I think Grub's going to be something that Quantum Freaks will need to pay a lot more attention to. I think getting the Grubs into the hands of a team with a Tristana has always been a very big thing.
Oh yeah.
Right now, still actually laning very effectively here as Gumayusi on this Caitlyn going to be able to retain control of this lane, I could imagine.
Yeah, there you go. Keria does now hit level 3, but there was a Andal was almost at 4. So pretty solid experience lead in the bot lane, and really in any lane. Gotta be really respectful of those. Early level ups are an insane extra amount of power. Andal looking for a hook. Not going to be the case just yet, as Cuz will be on the ward for this. But Oner, he's taken the bot side. Is not too surprising though, given that he has a Caitlyn on his team. But again, as you were saying, I do hope that Cuz will grab this opportunity. Faker now TP's back in. Bulldog does kind of still need to back, but at the very least gets this wave in. Cuz is going to start up the Grubs.
Yep, I believe full information going over to the Quantum Freaks, and they definitely have it now, as first Grub is going to be taken, and so top and bot side trade, and you can understand why both teams are aiming for the options that they went for. T1 trying to accelerate towards some dragons, and it's going to be a triple Grub start here, as well as Oner being able to set up for a potential dive.
Oh,
Keria going to find a Winter's Bite onto Andal here, and now Oner is going to make his attempt. Let's see whether they can lock them down, as he does pick up turret aggro. Oner's only level 5. There is the flash out from Andal, and now T1 looking for it once again. The teleport does come in. They're going to be able to kill Leaper, but can they get out? That's the question. The answer is absolutely no. The Gnar is going to clip Keria, but he stands beside Gumayusi. He's going to see whether he can save him. Dudu and Andal trying to fight this one out. The flash comes out from Keria, but it's not enough. It's Caitlyn! Gumayusi able to get the kill back, and it's a 2 for 2.
2 for 2 gold dead even, but this top side wave is going to go into the turret. So a small win TP as well used by Dudu, but I gotta say, Dudu with a double kill. Clean with it is Cuz.
Yep.
He's going to continue getting to his jungle. Actually, that might not have been that good, because now the rest of the wave...
Yeah, now the rest of the wave is going to evaporate,
it's
but...
just going to get eaten. So this looks a little dicey initially as Oner takes aggro thanks to a great hook. But Guma is able to do so much damage here, crucially. Like, gets a Q off on both Ondil as well as Leaper, and then Leaper ends up getting CC'd going down. And then that flash from Guma ends up being the big difference maker, because if he doesn't flash that, that alone could have been enough. They get knocked to the wall, and that's the end of it. And then here, between the traps, this looks initially really bad, but because of the barrier, he's at least able to trade back. Probably still not.
Well.
Yeah, probably still not ideal for Guma to get hooked instead there, but ends up working out not too badly as. Oh my God! I kind of wonder what build Guma is going to go for, because we do see the early Dirk here.
Yeah, looks like it's a possible collector, unless he's going for the fabled lethality Caitlyn.
Yeah, I feel like
I think
after
is even less of a thing.
All the lethality nerfs, not what you expect. As Ondil was learning why playing Nautilus into Braum is not fun.
Yeah, especially Braum Caitlyn, because as soon as a Winter's Bite or concussive blows is going to go down, it means that you then get trapped. And yes, there is a delicious cupcake, but you also die. And so that's not good. As Andal's going in, whether he likes it or not, Cuz going to come on through, is able to heal him up, but it's not enough. Keria shows them the door, and they're going to have to take it, unfortunately.
Oner on his way. Keria says thank you very much, and Ondil, those are some crucial missed hooks. Yeah, that is indeed an owie. Also do note, Faker is roaming over, so are Bulldog and Ondil, but I don't think they're going to make it in time here. Looks like Cuz is going to have to give this one up. Spear doesn't land.
Oh, Dudu inside the circle here. Zeus just going to press a bunch of buttons. Dudu not going to get hit by that Q. And therefore, Zeus going to let him live, at least for the moment. Flash still down here for Dudu. And Zeus still has his, so just going to put on that added pressure. Quantum Freaks, I mean, it's not over yet, but the amount of pressure that T1 have put on in this early game is pretty colossal. Let's see whether they can get anything back. As Bulldog and Cuz on a bit of an excursion towards the topside jungle of T1, trying to stay on the front foot, stay aggressive.
Oh.
But it's here in the bottom lane that we're really seeing some struggles.
Yeah, we already have, and Guma hasn't even based yet. So we are going to see a setup attempt at least. But I think, yeah, there's enough time for Zeus to just peace out here. They don't actually know where Oner is, but you see the moment that they spot Cuz towards the top side of the map, Cuz runs down. Demolish is going to do a good amount of damage to this turret.
Yeah, Andal, he has to get out of here. He is going to be able to hook the wall. But the turret is very much dead. And I don't think there's any way that they can actually get back there. So Caitlyn doing her job, rotating around, taking the turrets where she can. And this is where the gold is going to really start exploding for T1. Because Gumayusi is going to just do this with every lane. That's how it's going to go.
It's the Caitlyn game plan. Bulldog not been able to really make a mark in this mid lane matchup. I think really feeling the nerfs to the early game of the Tristana.
There's a collector done here for Gumayusi as well, so first item is completed. Leaper without a Trinity Force just yet. It's not going to stop the Quantum Freaks from being able to take all 6 of these grubs.
Ooh, okay, so this is the big thing now. What T1 need to avoid is take, like, usually it's the third dragon, but it can be the second dragon as well. So you're feeling great, right? You're ahead, and then you take, like, second or third Drake, and then Tristana gets, like, a turret and a half, because she has 6 grubs and she's Tristana.
Yeah.
Want to avoid that at all costs. So we do have a possible player. Ondil is still level 5, as is Keria, so these supports really been moving around a whole lot. Dragon is being taken right now.
Yeah, it's going to be Oner down there. He will announce the fact that that is what he's doing, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get through this one. And it looks like Quantum Freaks just going to call it off.
Oh, look at that. Faker was even on his way as well to respond to a possible play.
Yep.
Not going to be the case.
Drake going to be taken, and that is going to be T1 now, evening things out. It's another Mountain Soul. So a Mountain Rift a couple of times here in this series. I feel like we haven't had that many Mountain Rifts so far this season, so kind of good that we have statistics just going back to equilibrium here today.
It is indeed Collector first here for Guma. So, big one-item spike. Outside of the Mega Gnar, also not too many threatening beefy boys on the enemy team. Nautilus is, of course, fake tanky, as we all know, unless he's paired with Senna.
Yeah. Might be tanky for a little bit, sort of, if he does an aftershock.
Yeah, actually hit the hook, and even then, sometimes not really.
Yeah. You can auto someone if you at least get in range of them, because you hit a wall with your hook.
Yeah, yeah.
That feels good.
Does it?
Well, I mean, it feels better than instantly dying.
Oh.
Or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Bulldog is utilizing some grubs here on this bottom side. Zeus is able to clear out the minion wave very effectively. And Caitlyn positioned in the top lane. Ace in the hole will come down. And Dudu is going to collect that. And his boomerang.
That's Mini Gnar getting hit by Collector Caitlyn. Not fun.
It's not feeling too good. Oner in the area is going to be able to sweep out some vision.
Also,
this is what they want to do. More plates.
So hurts even more. And the moment the Q hits, you just need to basically immediately peace out. I think Under was happy that hook didn't hit.
Yeah,
I know that. Oh, Dudu does a flash. Kind of wonder, but both junglers seem to be very aware of each other's existence.
Yeah, I think Oner just cleared out a ward, and Cuz was standing on a ward, so there's a fair bit of information that is going around. It's going to mean that Faker has full news that he is very capable of just heading towards this mid lane and prying more plates out of this turret. It's going to be the first one picked up for this particular push. Going to be able to grab the next one as Leaper will be able to turn up, but he is behind him farm himself, does have a Trinity Force done. And there is Blade of the Ruined King completed here for Bulldog as well. He's in the bottom side, just farming things up against Zeus, who's falling behind a little bit. 20 CS or something like that is the margin, but CS for an Aurora, who cares? She puts people in circles. That's her job. She can do that with as much or as little gold as you would like.
All right, now, objective being started. Both Bulldog and Zeus have their TP available. Both really want to back, particularly Zeus, because he is sitting on a good amount of gold. And I wouldn't be surprised if they just play this slow. As Andil is able to actually take that. Gets the heal as well, so not too bothered.
Ooh, Mystic Shot going to connect.
That's
the Glacial Vision not so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Engage Braum is not really a thing.
Well, unfortunately, it is. But we don't want it to be.
No, well, I mean, it's not, though.
Oh, but they try.
Ah, yeah. I mean, in theory, anything's a thing, you know? As Zeus is going to clear out some minions.
You're right, Atlas. In theory, everything's a thing.
Yeah, because it's in the word.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a good joke.
Yep. All right, Cuz should be left alone for long enough in order to take this one down. It's getting late, okay? Get off me back, Chronicler. All
right. You know, I'm happy to follow you into the abyss. I just don't know if right now is the time.
Yeah.
Let's do. It's going to utilize these grubs. Do note, first airbot has already been taken towards the bot side, as we did see Guma pick that one up very early as, a punish onto Zeus.
Oh, the Gnar is going to be blocked by the ulti. Zeus is going to be able to try and get himself out of here, but you can't dodge that one. The hook going to come through there as well. The wallop comes down. A lot of chain CC. He flashes the spear, and it's just enough to get him out of dodge. Bulldog trying to stand his ground and save this outer turret in the mid lane. But man, that escape from Zeus, I think he did everything he needed to do.
Yeah, that was actually so nuts. I'm pretty sure he used his ultimate not only as an escape tool, but also used the initial dash to cancel out Dudu's ultimate.
Yep.
So was able to, as a result, not only utilize the ult to, hippity-hop to the other side and create some distance, but also the main thing, which was just slowing Zeus down, didn't end up mattering. And it was a pretty heavy investment that came through there from Kwangdong. Didn't end up really making a big difference. And now all of a sudden, 25 seconds until this soul fight is going to go down. I don't know if Kwangdong can really do a whole lot here. If T1 is entrenched, they have to walk past soldiers, you have to walk past Braum.
And he can't really do that. He is a wall.
Yes.
As a champion. We do have the Tristana on the bottom side of the map, so should be able to come on over for a flank angle. But Andil is now going to have to tank yet another one, as there is the ace in the hole. Oner comes over. Bulldog wants to try and push him away, but there's a nice stun onto the Tristana, able to get himself out of there, but the Heartbreaker moves Oner forward. Still, Bulldog gets the heal, and is going to be able to keep himself alive. That hook was, almost good, but did spell the death of Andal. And Dudu, look at that Naba. It is gorgeous. But it's not going to be necessary because they just can't use it.
And he doesn't have flash. Oh, I don't know. They might try to TP Bulldog in. They did use a lot in that sequence. And some of the health bars are low, but they got to use this Naganar. And I don't know if they have the timing. I don't think a whole lot's going to come from this. They're going to try and bully them out. Bulldog is back.
Yeah, Bulldog's going to be able to make his way into this fight. They're not going to have Andal for this one.
Oh, it's not
happening.
happening.
The spears aren't really connecting. That's a headshot from Gumayusi as Cuz.
Right. Oh my god!
That was kind of cool. He's going to be annoying. They're going to be able to take down a turret, and now Cuz is trapped in a circle. Still, that is going to dissipate, and they are going to be all right. So they're going to be able to trade Soul Point for outer turret, and Andal's life also goes down as well. So still a trade down for Kwangdong Freaks. But getting that turret was kind of cool.
That was a cool play from Cuz. Yeah, I liked it. It was enjoyable. Do see Oner trying to maybe get this. It doesn't even have smite. Oner, you're not getting that one, unfortunately. Still a very favorable trade here for T1, right? Setting up Soul Point into a composition that, yes, does have a lot of sustained damage. So you're going to eventually reach a point where I don't think your resistances matter too much. But Poke is really going to be not nearly as effective as kind of shocked Bulldog didn't just W the initial stun setup. And then here, the heal comes in clutch. But Cuz misses the spear. Like, if he hits that spear, I actually think that at the very least they kill Oner. Doesn't end up happening. And then Dudu is like, guys, we can fight, right? My Narbar is in a perfect, like, I know I don't have flash, but I swear I can be useful.
He had the perfect, like, hop crush combo as well, like, at the ready.
Yeah.
It was just, like, one boomerang and then he's there. Like, oh,
didn't happen.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. Still, if he can replicate that, and their setup is just that little bit better, could be an opportunity here. But I'm just hoping that Andal can hold himself together in this game. That is the main thing for me. We know that this guy does, you know, take losses pretty hard. And once he starts spiraling, things can be a little bit of a problem. And I think that spiral has begun. He's going to have to just try and slow it down and get back on track here, make those smart plays.
In the opposite direction. Counteract the spiral.
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
And he can do it. Because again, neither team is eliminated upon loss in this series as Ondale. Oh, Guma knows the banana brush is dangerous. Keria does take a good amount of damage. Obviously can't really engage onto a Braum, but this damage will stick.
Yeah. Play the Rune King to come through there as well, as the door is going to eat the True Shot Barrage. And Ace in the Hole is just going to annoy Bulldog. And by annoy, I mean halve his health bar. My goodness, it's really starting to hurt. And he's got a Fidget Spinner, so 2 items are done now for the Tristana. Only going to become more and more of a problem as this game goes on. As Faker takes an explosive charge. Uses his shield quite nicely there as Dudu going to come on over and see whether he can take down a blue buff. Don't know whether he can do that in front of Zeus, who's going to turn up and do the same thing. Now he's going to try on this Rift Scuttle. He might be able to get that.
Okay, can't get blue buff.
Yeah, exactly.
Attempt number 2. Let's get it crabby.
I
looks
just
like
want to get something.
That's going to be the case. 2 items spike, no hit for Guma. Has his IE done. Obviously, going to be feeling great in that regard. But we are getting to the point in the game where the gold lead that is here for T1 doesn't mean that much in the grand scheme of things. It's more so about, can they continuously get to these objectives first? Really, that's what it boils down to for me. Because I feel like both teams are so insanely strong when they are entrenched. But taking control of a zone is actually very hard. And we have one really hard winning matchup, which is Dudu into mostly Zeus, as we can see here, as he does actually hit the boomerang. And Zeus really has to respect. And then on the flip side, we have Bulldog that is getting bullied out by Faker, right? This Azir in the 1v1 has been a really, really big threat. Continuously has Prio as well. So it kind of depends, how can you utilize that silent pressure on either side and make sure you get to the objective first. And the problem for Leaper is that he just can't really walk up to Guma because Caitlyn in like 3 crits will just murder him. Which makes it very hard to actually get Prio as... Back should have to come in now, and you see as well, I think Dudu should be able to push in his wave, and it can also cheat tempo because he still have the TP available. But they don't really have any flank wards, and Dudu doesn't have Mega right now, so he needs to TP ASAP and then try and build that, because they are going to need to rely on him if they actually want to make this fight work. And they have to. Again, Mountain Soul is not immediate game over. It's no Axe deck, but man, is it going to make your game harder.
Yeah, feels really rough. It's going to turn Braum into a real tank and things like this, and they don't have many real tanks on the side of T1, but if they are sort of just tanky because of a Mountain Soul, then this composition is almost impossible to fight into with the amount of disengage, the amount of like just damage straight up that they'll have. It's kind of silly.
Tell me you played versus T1 before as Dudu places a ward near Baron. It's like, no, not allowed. Not letting them do it.
Not starting this time as Faker's going to walk into that one, unfortunately.
Oh, Prio has been found here by Kwangdong. But Banana Brush control still in the hands of T1.
Well, Andil is going to stand on the trap, so they know exactly where they are. Zeus gives away his position. Both top laners with teleport in hand. They can come down for this fight if we do see anything actually erupting.
T1 also can give this up, which we haven't really discussed yet. If they don't think they have a good opportunity, as never mind, TP coming in.
Yep, they're not going to be giving this one up. Teleport to come through from Zeus, looking for Bulldog on a flank angle. They will be able to find him there. Oner taking a bit of damage himself. Faker looks for Bulldog. There is the rocket jump out, and Bulldog with teleport available. His Buster Shot now on cooldown though. So Dudu, he's turned up. Looking for a few more stacks onto that Nava. Zeus hops forward, puts them in a circle. Now that is going to be the Drake, secured by the Kwangdong Freaks, but can they find the team fight? That's the question. Faker goes golden as the house just goes over his head, and Gumayusi takes down Leaper. Cuz is already dead as well, but they do at least save the soul, and Andil might even be able to get out. Oh, just barely. I think he deserved that. I think that was a bit of a mulligan from all those other times where he went in and
I'm not sure. I think it was because I saw someone in the cam of Kwangdong go like, oh boy! Because if they get him, that might be enough to then take up that bear. Because getting the dragon there, absolutely pivotal. Because that's the only thing that stopped this from being a complete disaster. As the start of this fight, obviously great for T1 as they're able to get Bulldog out of the fight. So there's a lot of damage missing. And there we see, the ult comes in, there isn't Mega Gnar.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And Cuz also flashed out of the circle, but still into the dragon pit. And so then he could really not go anywhere.
Yeah, he really did just kind of die. The one benefit there that you saw for Leaper was that he was actually able to make it out because he's Ezreal. So that's something. And the end result is that nothing has really changed.
Yeah, the end result is Kwangdong Freaks has to do that again in 3.5 minutes.
Yes, but by then, they will probably have Bulldog with what I imagine will be a Mortal Reminder. But I think Mortal Reminder is just outright.
It's just kind of better now.
Better now, yeah. Even if there's not that much healing. And there's Viego, you know.
Yep.
So I wouldn't mind it too much. So we do see control of this pit being taken here. We've seen this one before.
Yep, they are just gonna do Baron. Keria puts up the door. Kwangdong Freaks are in the area, but Dudu is not. And so this Baron going down lower and lower, but yeah, this is not exactly going the best. Still, can they get into the pit? The answer is no. They are taking down the Aurora though, and T1 need to get themselves out of here as quickly as they can. They'll sacrifice one, but they'll get themselves the Baron. And Cuz not gonna be able to chase after them this time around. Might be able to see them in this brush, but they just have no information, so there's no chance. And so that's T1 doing a T1 of old move, which is just take Baron.
Zeus gives his life for the colony, and will be able to see the rest of his team walk it off. I imagine this colony, they got apples.
Yeah, plenty of apples. Yeah.
As we do see here, the crucial thing is that even though Dudu has teleport, him teleporting doesn't actually do anything here because he doesn't have Narbar. So this is a really rough scenario. Zeus, I think, just goes back in to try and draw attention. Either that or he mistimed and he just died for no reason. But I think in that scenario, going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Could have also cancelled his own ult if his original intention was to get out another Baron. Buff is there to actually have it this time around, which I do appreciate for T1 with his Red Bull Baron power play.
Yeah, it's only ticking up to 1,000 at this point in time, but as they settle in, start to take down some structures, that's when things can get really dangerous. 1.5 minutes on both the Baron timer and this Mountain Soul fight, round 2. And so Kwangdong Freaks gonna have to try and find some sort of pick or something.
Ooh,
to get some sort of tempo back, yeah.
Sonya's here for Faker. Third item done.
Yeah,
Dudu, he was looking.
Yeah, Keria doesn't find the ulti though, and Oner gonna have to slink back into the mist. Takes a lot of damage here as the screw is gonna connect there as well. Heartbreaker out from Oner. That is a decent investment. Cuz over this wall, looking for some spears, doesn't get him.
Oh, Inner, I imagine, is the goal here.
Yeah.
For T1, and I think they should be able to get at least that, but that's not the most insane power play in terms of Baron that we've seen. As, oh, look at that.
Yeah, that is Andal taking a whole lot of damage. This is 3 items, Rapid Fire Cannon, Collector, Infinity Edge for Gumayusi. We talk about troughs and stuff with Caitlyn. Haven't done that so much this game. She's not in it anymore as much. 3 items is about where things start feeling okay, especially when you're a bit accelerated, and he's a bit accelerated. 4 items is when it starts feeling real good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be the fun times, and he's already got a Noon Quiver on his way there.
In general, I do feel like the item rework for AD carries did kind of take away, like the trough's still there technically, but...
I mean, with the Collector build, it feels a lot better.
Yeah, it really does. And now, this fight, last fight was basically a must-win. This fight, very much the same, as we do have sums available across the board. Yeah. Stopwatch here for Faker.
Andal has to be really careful, Dudu. Not a lot of Nabar, as that is a very short hook. Andal's going to have to flash. He does so to get himself out of here. Bulldog, this flank angle is very scary, as T1 all grouped up. And the health bars on Quandong Freaks are getting lower and lower. They're going to have to commit to something, as there's the hook. It's going to connect onto Zeus, but that is the kill onto Andal. Zeus down so incredibly low. The Mega Gnar comes in. Faker going to get walloped off to the side. Bulldog has to flash to get himself out of the way, and there is the Mountain Soul. Emperor's Divide doesn't do a whole lot, but that's because his targets are already dead. Leaper gets over the wall, and Gumayusi will wipe him out. T1 now just trying to get the stragglers here, as Dudu wanting to chase after Keria, but Gumayusi going to protect his support this time around. And Cuz going to need to try and pounce his way over some walls, and it looks like Oner doesn't even really care, because Zeus going to turn up, and Cuz's time is coming to a close here as he does pounce on over towards Zeus. Also keeps himself relatively healthy, but there's that burst that we were waiting for. Zeus going to be able to lock that one down, and it looks like T1 are marching towards the finish line here in this game number 3. A bit of a slow start after dropping game 1. This is looking all but over.
Oh, and it was the initial burst that came through. I'm pretty sure that Dudu there wasn't able to, and I think there were more things that went wrong in that fight, but Dudu, I think, looks to get the hop over the wall to kill Zeus, and it doesn't actually end up making it over. As we take another look, so obviously this well played, but this is a pretty big investment. 2 ultimates already gone, and Andal still is available. So when he gets the hook on Zeus, this looks like it's playable. Like, look at this. Because Dudu has a full Narbar. If he makes it over,
oh, true,
that could be enough, but instead doesn't make it over. And instead, I think, makes the right call, tries to turn around the play onto Faker, and then Faker has the stopwatch, then it gets the shuffle flash up, and from that point on, it just isn't the consistent damage. If that Mega Gnar gets over that wall,
yeah,
that play could have been completely different, Atlas. But now,
a bit of a shame.
I think that might be the end of it for Kwangdong. As look at that gold lead.
That is falling off a cliff just a little bit here. That was a little bit of a dip back as Quandong Freaks tried to salvage whatever they could, but 7,000 gold is no small amount of money here at 31 minutes into this game. And T1's composition doesn't exactly lack scaling either, as that is Lord Dom's now completed for Gumayusi. That's those 4 items that we were talking about. Feels pretty great, especially when you're staring down Leaper, who has only 3. That's like a full armor penetration item, just there in comparison to your opposition.
T1 looking good. Hard to imagine that from this point in the game, Kwangdong find a way back. We're talking like a colossal Baron disaster, which we haven't seen in a while. Andal only level 10, this was highlighted there. Looking dire here, Atlas, for Kwangdong, and they are not eliminated upon this loss.
I mean, this was an assumed one, right?
It was, and they can still beat DRX. That's Braum.
Yep, that's a hook. That is a dead handle. There is nothing you can do about that one. Gumayusi just walks up to point-blank range and shoots the Big Daddy in the face. And that is going to be that. That might just be Baron here from this one as well. There are a lot of traps they're just not standing on, as Lipa trying to clear the way to get himself over here. Wanting to land some poke as Faker is hit by a spear. That's important, but the Baron is just going to go down. And now Lipa is inside a circle and destroyed. Yeah, he wasn't between worlds. He was just taken out of one. That is likely just it, because without their bottom lane, Quantum Freaks kind of don't have a defensive force to stop T1 from pushing down this mid lane unless the minions are eliminated. They could just tank up these turrets though, and that should be able to keep this siege minion alive, as Bulldog will be able to clear out that wave. Just don't know whether it's going to be enough here, as Nexus turrets might need to be tanked, and that could be a little bit of a stretch. But here in the top lane, they're going to be able to take down that inhibitor as well. And I don't think Bulldog has delayed for quite long enough. As you can see, Faker even getting to work. Bottom lane, this is going to only extend this gold advantage further. It's now ticking over to 10,000. And it's getting, you know, we use the word surmountable a lot. There's not a lot of surmounting that I think is going to happen in this game, Chronicle. That's what I'm going to say.
Anything can be a thing, Atlas. There is always a way. I don't know what the way is in this instance. As we take a look, unfortunately for Ondo, his hook hits. And Braum has a lot of weaknesses. Getting engaged on is not one of them, so that's just the immediate setup here. I gotta say, you kind of gotta fish for hooks, but that, if you know the Braum is there...
Oh, he steps on the trap.
Yeah, steps on the trap, and otherwise...
Does immediately cleanse, but yeah, just can't really do anything.
Yeah, the damage is still gonna come through right from Guma, and to be fair, does he make it out? No, because he doesn't have his flash, or even if he gets the E, I'm pretty sure that he ends up going down as a... That's Guma's Caitlyn, all right?
Yeah.
We've seen that one before. There is... You know what the one mount is, okay?
Whoa.
It's getting an Elder flip. We have seen many a game where if you just do that, maybe it's just playable again. You also need to, you know, get Elder and then not trade Elder for Nexus. That's an often made mistake. As that they do sniff this one out.
Yeah. Dudu looking for a little bit of an angle, but he just goes, you know, through the veil. And he is going to be fine. So Quantum Freaks,
yeah, look,
trying to get what they can.
They're setting up the for Nexus part of the trade.
Yeah, that's the rough part. They didn't take the top inhib.
Okay,
Well, they're big, and now T1, they are going to be pushing, but Quantum Freaks might have them where they want them. Lipa probably shouldn't be frontlining. Don't have a lot of other options. Oh god, okay. Bulldog almost just executed as Faker is going to look for him. Buster Shot gets him out of there as these Nexus turrets going down so fast. They're in between worlds as Oner is going to take Handle out of it. Dudu now in trouble, gets hooked up by the newly constructed Nautilus. And Bulldog goes down as well. The rest of T1, they get on top of Lipa. You can't flash that one, cuz. And that is the double kill for Gumayusi. The ace comes through and T1, they stomp Quantum Freaks into the ground at the very